If you don't want spoilers, turn this off for a minute. 5 minutes later, spoilers, and additional spoilers. It's my first ever Rick Remender book, I think, as far as I'm aware. I knew nothing about it going into it, but straight away I said, "Oh, cool! It's like a action adventure set in space with aliens." All right, so I like that stuff. Sumo Thori says, "Love Fear Agent." So does Kane Manifesto. This was a lot of fun, and yeah, straight away from the very first page, I love the writing, like how he's using sort of really weird space kind of crazy terms and everything. I'm going to the shim races and everything, and so you starts off with just this little this page with this alien creature who goes to this big space station and realizes no one's there, and he's just angry because he can't get his glorg damned chili snacks. Anyway, he gets eaten straight away, and just a little bit of a tone setting scene before we get started and meet the hero. So this is him here. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'm sure you guys who have read it will know him. He is a fear agent who are people that hunt down aliens. And it seems like there's some kind of class to aliens, different kinds of intelligence, or like there's A, B, C, D, and lower. So we don't know what he's doing, but straight away he comes up to this cave and he gets into a fight with these primates who are kind of a bit, all they do is growl and oof, and they're kind of like cavemen. But he manages to fight most of them off, and after a little bit of a struggle, manages to get into the cave. And we get in that whole thing, we get a little bit of a sense of he's a fighter, who he is. He's got a bit of a kind of like Han Solo type, quick wit sort of personality. And you can see there he's got the classic American jawline. Anyway, so you can see from these primates, he's not really expecting much. Apparently, the mission we find out is they've been heading into town and stealing sophisticated machinery. So he's here to get the machinery back and pretty much investigate. And that's how he gets paid, essentially. But then we realize, oh, look, the monkeys have been building a rocket ship. So, straight away. And look, they're even there. They're actually working on it and everything. So straight away, something is up. Fantastic page, by the way. I didn't catch who the artist was on this. It's the same artist as Early Walking Dead. Oh, there you go. I like your stuff. Yeah, the art is really good. He does excellent cartooning in the faces and the detail and everything, the action. I have no qualms about it, but great pages, good coloring too. So straight away is like, okay, there's something going on here, and that these things are back attacking him, and they seem to be smarter than what he expected them to be. He's using some like freezing thing through his backpack, and he accidentally gets his arm frozen. So now he's got to be careful. So now he can't really fight them, because if he does and smashes his arm could smash into a million pieces or something, and that would be a bad thing. So he's got to kind of retreat, and then you find out, okay, it's this thing, this brain giant Krang thing is the creature, the alien that's controlling them. And straight away it starts to control him, and it's like, I like this bit. It's like, oh, pick up a rock and bash it into my skull. So he's got to like try and fight this, and it's an A-class intelligence. So I'm kind of learning these things as we go. So he's got to get his helmet on to be able to stop the mind control. Unfortunately, the primates don't have that technology. The giant Krang makes a hasty escape to his rocket, so he's got to stop it, because if it takes all the machinery off planet, then he doesn't get paid. But things just start escalating. The primates are still attacking him, and they're growing and growing in number. So he ends up just saying, screw it, and he just decides to blow the whole thing up. So at least they don't escape with the tech. And he does that. And that's sort of now in the wreckage, we see it. And you get that sort of a sense of who he is. So he says, "My name is Heath Huston. I'm an alien exterminator. Last of a small band of Texas ass stompers known as fear agents. Right now, I'm standing on what some would describe as a crime scene. I'm not authorized by any means to exterminate a class A life form. But the way I look at it, if the law didn't see it, I didn't do it." And that's it. I thought that was great. Bretsky says, "This is Remender's best work." This is the first thing I've read of his. So Bancroft makes the word glean sound filthy. I don't try. I have a weird accent. Okay, well, that's fine. Everything's normal then. So yeah, we left off last time. He had blown up all the equipment and cave and everything. It caused this massive destruction. And then he's trying to sell all the stuff. And the guy's like, all of these kind of weird monkey characters, ape characters, came into the city and started causing trouble. So he ends up having to hightail it out of there with no money and nothing to show for all his hard work that we saw in the first issue. But he does manage to escape. And then very quickly, you get a bit of a sense of, oh, there's a lot more going on to his drunkenness than just, a kind of quirky, swashbuckling attitude. There's like a bit of a dark history here. Actually, Remender spends a lot of time delving into this character, which I really appreciated as well. And he is clearly missing a deceased wife. He's got himself like an AI girlfriend in like in Blade Runner. He drinks. He watches old football games. But now all that has to wait because he gets another job almost straight away. And he gets sent to investigate, if you remember at the very start, where that alien got eaten at this space station. So he goes there and he quickly, after getting some alcohol, of course, he quickly realizes that these things are called feeders. And we learn very quickly that, these things are not to be messed with. Anytime there's feeders, basically the solution is to just nuke the whole place because they go from planet to planet, just destroying everything in their path. And they very nearly get him, but he's a wily fella. It's cool art here. So this is one of the feeders here with all the tentacles. I really like this pose here. I thought that was cool. And he's, like I said, he's got some tricks up his sleeve. We saw his freezing thing. He's got other kind of different guns and weaponry, but he still has to hightail it. And he escapes down into some water here. And this is where he finds this lady who he picks up. Now, what's her name? I can't remember. Mara. Mara is a warp drive physicist or something. So not necessarily an action hero, but straight away, look, she starts to try and patch up his wounds, and this is nice. But then quickly, I think they realize they have to get out of there, and he sets up a bomb. He does things on the go. He's a man of action, let's say. And straight away, she calls him. She says, "Are you out of your mind or just severely retarded?" I love that they used to write that stuff back in the day. They probably wouldn't use that word anymore. There's a lot of power to it. But so then we meet these characters here who are like, we'll see some brains in a vat later. These are like, I don't know, gloopy, maybe they're like alien brains in a robot suit. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, these are the big like bad guys. What does he say? These things nearly wiped Earth clean. What are they called? I can't quite remember their name. Everyone has their own, strange names. Dressite soldiers. There you go. You're gonna love the next series, says Raiden Radio. Severely retarded man. I don't know. I think you're pulling my leg there. So anyway, we find out that they've essentially, these Dressite soldiers are using the escape pods or whatever, the ships, to send all of those feeders to Earth. So now, okay, now they have a serious situation on their hands. So they go back to his ship, and there's no one left there. So she's going to join with him. They're going to fly back to Earth. Look, they can like control people's minds and stuff. So they're going to fly back to Earth, but there was a problem. The aliens anticipated that, and they put this strange fuel compound in his rocket, and now it's gone like hypersonic warp crazy. It's like that episode of Voyager where they went past warp point 9.9 or something, and they go into the 10, and they can see all of time or something. It's a bit like that. And look, it says Fragoom, almost like Frege. I thought that like Frege Boom. I thought, oh no, but I think it's Fragoom. Anyway, so they get zapped to this planet, and they crash into it, and almost straight away they start getting zapped at by these robots. These robots running around everywhere. So they're on the run straight away again. So each issue is like super action packed. And again, yeah, look at this cool. He's just a cool character, So he's fighting off these robots, and then we meet these things here with the brains I mentioned earlier. The brains in the robot things. They're quite important. So yeah, he's fighting off them. He's about to get squished, but he manages to throw a grenade or something into the brain cavity. And yeah, he's constantly getting kicked around, blown up. And that's all going on. Anyway, he makes it back to Mara and ends up, getting out of there, grabbing her in in his jetpack, killing some more of these bad guys. I love that panel there. That was great. Really cool. Nice colors too. Shout out to the colors. I can't remember his name. I said it earlier. But another great panel. Just, yeah, really just good stuff. Good pages, good fun. Lots of different ways of doing the backgrounds and everything. So he saves her. They go up in his jetpack, and then straight away he gets skewered by a giant spear. He says Bancroft's brain appreciates a bit of elbow room. It does. I like to get spacey in there. Brains are important. K-Manifesto agrees the coloring is great. Yeah. So every single time they catch a break, something bad happened to him. He's like a pincushion for the writer. So he gets skewered, and then we run into these creatures. And that's the end of the third issue. In the fourth issue, yeah, we find out they're actually not bad people. They just have never seen humans before, and they didn't know what he was, so they thought he was a threat and attacked him. But they realized that they're not robots, and they very quickly work to try to heal him, even though they skewered him with a thing. There you go. A little bit of her in her underwear. If that's what you're into. That's about all you can get. 'Tis but a flesh wound, says Critical Reads. Well, thankfully, with a lot of alcohol, he's able to heal. A little bit of time passes, obviously. She gives him some sort of translation device. And then we learn a little bit about the history of their world. And these two are listening, and they're like, this sounds really, really familiar to what happened on Earth, where Earth was decimated by so just a very quick rundown. I'm not going to go through all of it, but it's essentially when their great leader was dying, they put his brain into a machine, and they thought, oh, this is a great way to extend life. But it all goes bad, and the robot brain people decide, or one of them decides that that should be the correct form of life, and then starts tapping into the living creatures that made them, and using them as energy sources. You know, it's a tale as old as time. And yeah, these two are listening to it and they're like, this sounds very reminiscent of what happened on Earth. And they're like, yeah, but it can't be the same people. They're trying to build a spaceship to get off planet. And they're like, how can it be the same people? And he's like, trust me, it's the same people. Look at the clock. We're 20,000 years in the past. So that when they did that big Fragaboom hyperdrive thing, it sent them 20,000 years into the past. So now they have a chance to kill these killer robot brain people before they even get a chance to get off planet. So that's sort of like the new goal here. And I don't want to spend too much time on the fight and everything because it is worth going through. It's really cool how they set it all up and they got to storm the tower and everything. I really want to get to this part here where he actually fights the big bad brain robot guy. And if you do want to read this and you don't want it to be spoiled, turn it off for a minute because this threw me for a 6. I was like, holy cow, they actually went there. So you assume he's just going to sort of have a bit of a tussle with this guy and he's going to outsmart him. He's going to use his guns and everything. He invented some kind of plant thing to get into the robot's joints and everything. But it doesn't quite work on this big bad evil guy who grabs him, snatches him. What does he say? Breaks his neck, breaks his ribs, holds him down, does a little bit of a bad guy monologue. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, oh, she's going to come in or something, but then she's not really a warrior. Who, like, one of the other guys are going to come in and save him. And nah, he just gets stomped. And it ends with, I'm a failed experiment to be continued. It was like, what? I did have to run. I just had to. Can you imagine getting that off the shelf? You're like, what the hell? I did scroll forward a little bit to see what the hell happened because, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you get squashed by a giant, robot, friggin' 20-foot tall robot, and you ain't coming back, essentially. I thought that was weird that they set up the whole backstory of this character and launch, this fear agent story and then just stomp him at the end of the 4th issue. I'm sure they're going to do something. No one is ever truly dead in comic books. But yeah, this is a lot of fun. I can see now why people loved Fear Agent, still love Fear Agent. And I do look forward to reading the whole run. And there's quite a lot of it. So I won't get back to it probably for another month or so. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. Most of this series has a lot of space between issues too. Oh, that that would have sucked. I couldn't believe they did that. I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting something like that in a book like this. So really impressed how it subverted my expectations, let's just say. So yeah, Fear Agent, really good stuff. Rick Remender. Who are the other guys? You guys said it earlier. I couldn't remember. Go back. Come on. Rick Remender, Tony Moore and pencils, Jerome Opena on that's the My War art. Okay, inks by Sean Parsons and Mike Manley, colors by Lee Loffridge. Okay, so My War is the next arc. So this collection book here, volume 1, must be the two arcs, Reignition and My War. Yeah, cool. Hojo loves him some Rick Remender. If you don't want spoilers, turn this off for a minute. 5 minutes later, spoilers, and additional spoilers.